When it comes to fitness in general, there is no discipline more powerful and more diverse than calisthenics. And that makes sense because calisthenics basically just means body weight exercises. However, that also means through that diversity that there are a myriad of exercises that people aren't doing even though they are peak efficiency, super powerful, and the reason is they do not know about them. While we talked about how to build an insanely powerful physique and absurd body control through just using the basics of calisthenics in our last video, today we're going to get into some of the ultra powerful exercises that most people aren't doing and the reasons why you should definitely be doing them. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Starting out with two of the most easy to replicate exercises and probably two of the most beneficial ones in general. Starting with the passive or dead hang, basically just grabbing hold of a bar and relaxing into a completely lengthened position in all our joints and our muscles. However, this is just level number one. What we want to reach is the single-sided passive hanging position. This one will not only help you decompress every single joint in your body while stretching basically every single muscle surrounding these joints, but will also help you build absurd grip strength, which is one of the major foundations of calisthenics, which you will use for all kinds of bar-related exercises. The dead hang is by far one of the most rehabilitating exercises you can do, especially for people who suffer from lumbar pain or spinal pain in general, shoulder impingement, bad shoulder posture and slumped posture, and even hip pain by decompressing and letting loose everything surrounding our hip joint. And the second exercise being the unilateral scapular pull-up, going into complete elevation and upward rotation of our scap and switching from one side to the other. Now, while the classic scapular pull-up is an amazing exercise to help you work on your scapular control and shoulder control, the unilateral one takes this to a whole other level, requiring more control, more strength and more coordination to go through this movement in a long range of motion. Once again, combining the benefits of decompression through hanging in this position with control over our shoulder musculature, which once again is one of the most important factors when it comes to calisthenics and will be one of the foundations you will need to advance, for instance, your pull-up game to do lateral movements, or for instance, movements at the very top of the bar. Adding these two to your repertoire will already make a whole world of difference when it comes to your strength, your control, and your overall endurance when working on pulling or hanging exercises. Now, while we're still working on the bar, we have to address the tucked lever, pulling our legs in and reversing the movement, making as long a range of motion as possible. With this exercise not only being the foundation for instance, skin the cat and working on even more shoulder and scapular control as well as flexibility. Tuck lever is an amazing exercise to work our entire anterior chain from our quads, hip flexors and lower abdominals all the way up to our chest. Combining the grip strength and forearm strength we've been working on through the single-sided passive hang with the shoulder and scapular control of the single-sided scapular pull-ups. Working on our anterior chain through long ranges of motion and putting together our hip flexors with our abdominals, which is usually how they work in our day-to-day life, already makes for an amazing exercise that can help you build massive core strength and use to advance further when it comes to front levers. Not to mention that we are working on a lot of full body control that we can use for all kinds of other disciplines, from powerlifting to fighting or even flexibility and yoga work. Taking a deeper focus on our anterior chain and our upper body combined with full body tension, working on elevated push-ups in a negative position, especially the more advanced variation that we usually just do with our feet on the ground, can have an insane amount of benefits when it comes to more strength, more control and complete body inclusion when doing an exercise. Doing an elevated low typewriter would add even more shoulder inclusion in the movement. And with this elevation, we also have a lot more demand on our core to keep our spine from falling into this extension, so we can stay at the very least neutral or even in spinal flexion for more focus on our upper body. if you can do a handful of classic push-up variations, it is time for you to start elevating your feet to help you build more control. Moving us to the exercise I'll never get tired of mentioning until every single person I know starts working on it, being the Cossack squat, which is probably one of the most adjustable leg exercises and one that has the most benefits and the most variations, starting with a classic Cossack, which is more quad dominant, to one where we add posterior chain strength, to even one where we add complete body mobility and flexibility for more coordination, more strength, more endurance and overall control over our entire body, which we then can use to advance to more mobility dominant, strength requiring movement patterns that will target every single joint, muscle and ligament by strengthening and stretching them. If you're looking for a single exercise that can target basically your entire lower body and add some of your upper body control and strength as well, work on the Cossack squat. Here we have all the necessary variations you can work on with some added weight, just in case if you want to work more on hypertrophy and building more mass instead of just strength and control. And it'll also take care of all of your lower body flexibility needs, which is one of the most neglected aspects when it comes to calisthenics. And last but definitely not least, and trust me, you will want to work on this one, especially if you want to have a very good quality of life as you start getting older. And I have mentioned the importance of spinal mobility so many times when it comes to longevity, as well as reducing the risk of injury. And that exercise is the thoracic opener, which simply means that we want to start working on our spinal extension, especially in our upper body, which many people struggle with, especially as we get older and start slouching in their upper body. And even more so if you are someone who sits around a lot while working or while you are at home. Elevating our shoulders, we want to grab hold of something right above our head. And the first level is basically just working on getting your butt down on the ground. And for most of you, this will already lead to an insane stretch in their deltoids and chest. And that probably means that you are very tight when it comes to these muscles. Once you are fully capable of placing your butt on the ground with your shoulders elevated, you already have more thoracic mobility than most people you meet at a gym. And then comes the very fun part where we start including our hip flexors, quads and core strength to move in a dynamic manner, slowly, controlled, just so you don't hurt yourself. And this will not only build amazing strength, amazing control, while stretching our entire anterior chain all the way down to our hips. But with this one, you will feel the results of being more limber and more loose almost instantaneously. You can start holding this position statically for 20 to 30 seconds, and that is already a nice stretching exercise. And once you feel more safe in this position, start raising your legs and working on that core strength. This way you can easily take care of one of the most problem-dominant zones in our body as we grow old. And all of that with just one single exercise. Now, these are basically just a handful of quality of life exercises, but trust me, their impact is absolutely insane, especially if you start working on them multiple times a week. Over the course of a couple of months, you will feel basically like an entirely new person, more in control, more flexible, stronger, and with a lot more muscle endurance. Not to mention that if you are someone who works on other disciplines like powerlifting, for instance, or MMA, you will see an immediate improvement in these categories as well. If you've made it to the end of the video, you're an absolute legend, and I am so grateful that you are here. The support on this channel has been absolutely amazing in the past couple of weeks, and we have been growing between 50 to 100 people every single day, which is an absurd amount of people that I can barely wrap my head around. So thank you so much. If you liked the video, like the video and subscribe, and please join us so we can improve together, because we have new videos on this channel every single day, which means that I will see you guys tomorrow. So until then, Captain Cairo, peace out.